Hey guys, still waiting for a few invites. This is live right now. Just give me about a minute and then we'll start. So if you want to pull out material to write down or whatnot, you'll have access to this on our Clear 2.0 Facebook site. But I'll give you guys about 2 minutes and we'll start. Okay, fellas, let's get started. Want to welcome you out to the Clear Satellite training. This is the second one. We're going to go over product knowledge. Should last probably about 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. Going to cover quite a bit of stuff. As you guys all know, knowledge is power. So the more you know about the product, the easier it's going to be able to sell it. So I'm going to make it as simple as possible. My name is Tim Anglesey. I'm the VP of training at Clear Satellite. Been in the industry about 14 years. Kind of my experience, I've shared this with many people. When I first started selling, my experience is a little bit crazy. No one trained me for like the first 10 days. They just handed me a binder and said, go to work. So that was an interesting experience, my first 10 days. Never had a correlation. Podcast probably didn't exist clear back in the day. And with the first 10 days, I learned a lot of what not to do. In fact, the first 10 days, I didn't sell a single account. And then somebody took me out for half a day on day 11 for half the day. And then after that day, the next day I went out and I sold 8 accounts, which isn't normal either. So there's a lot to learn. When I do these trainings, a lot of things that I try to focus on are things I wish I would have known in those first 10 days, the first year of selling. So hopefully this is going to help you guys out. There's 5 trainings. This is training number 2. Typically every Tuesday we'll do training. Sometimes we'll change it to Thursday, just depending on people's schedules and whatnot. I travel a lot, and so I want to make sure that I'm present during these trainings. Every once in a while we'll have Jeremy Arthur, he's the VP of sales, or Kevin Trost, he's the other VP of sales, will be on here, and some of the other regionals that we have at Clear Satellite. Clear Satellite has been in business for quite a while. In 2009 is when they started really their door-to-door program. And for the last 4 or 5 years running, we've been the #1 direct TV retailer in the nation, door-to-door. We pride ourselves a lot on that. Our per-rep average is extremely high, which is important to you as the rep. If you see those that are new as well as those that have been in the industry for a while succeeding, that's a good thing for you. So I'm excited for this training. It's awesome. I thought maybe I'd play some music, but not today. For those of you that like Rocky, you should go see the movie Creed because it's amazing. That's all I have to say about Creed. Anyway, so let's start the training. Once again, we're going to talk about product knowledge. One thing I'll do during these trainings is I will explain a portion of it, and then I will cut to a slide. So bear with me as I go to the slide. It might take a few seconds or whatnot when I do that. But let's talk a little bit about DirecTV. DirecTV's been in business for well over 20 years. It's the #1 satellite company out there. Obviously, the main competition is Dish Network. DirecTV prides herself a lot on quality as far as the type of equipment that they have, and we will discuss the different equipment that DirecTV has to offer. The #1 thing they do pride themselves on is the sports. They carry the NFL Sunday Ticket, which basically allows customers throughout the whole United States, if they have the Sunday Ticket, to be able to view their favorite team wherever they're at. For instance, I'm a big Seattle Seahawks fan. I live here in Utah. I'm from Washington. Of course, they do show a lot of Seahawks on national TV, but for the games that they don't broadcast in this region, the Sunday Ticket allows me to be able to watch those games on Sunday. So it's an amazing tool, and it's an amazing thing. And we'll discuss a little bit more about the NFL Sunday Ticket and some of the promotions that DirecTV has to offer a little bit later during this training. Let's talk about the equipment. So the way it works with DirecTV, when we sell a customer, they get what's called a receiver. Receiver is a little box that goes to each TV that they want set up with satellite. For instance, if somebody has 3 TVs, they would have a box or a receiver on each one of those TVs. I know for a lot of you guys that have sold this or that understand how satellite works, this isn't new to you, but it's important to go over these different things. So receivers, whatever you want to call them, boxes, that's something we provide with the customer. I'm going to run on the board. Hopefully you can see it. If you can't see it well, I'm going to pull up a slide after I'm done explaining it, so that way hopefully it makes better sense for you. But when we sell a customer, you really have to know basically 4 different types of receivers that DirecTV will offer the customer. Our bread and butter, and I'll write it down on the board. I'm left-handed. They really don't make this easy for left-handed people, but the first piece of equipment that we would give the customer, if they qualify, would be called a Genie. So we've got the Genie. Okay, the Genie, what that is a HD DVR. So it's high definition. So whether a customer has an HD TV or not, they're going to be getting a high definition receiver. The Genie also is the DVR. And the cool thing about the Genie is it will allow the customer to record up to 5 different shows at one time. So if you're familiar with DVR, that basically allows you to be able to record your favorite show, pause live TV. If you have to go run an errand or whatever, it will allow you to be able to access or be able to go back and rewind and watch the show that you paused. So we've had the Genie. What I'm going to do, so you guys can see this, I'm going to write a little bit bigger. One sec. So you guys can see it. So once again, I'll pull it up on our slide once I'm done. So we have the Genie. Okay, so Genie's the go-to. What is it? It's an HD receiver plus DVR. Okay, and what it can do is it can record up to 5 shows at one time. Okay, so it can record 5 shows at one time. It's awesome. So if a customer has 3 TVs in their home, but 90% of the time they use their family room or their man cave or whatever, they could be recording 3 shows at one time and still watch a live program at the same time. That's a huge deal to a lot of customers, especially the ones that we sell. So that's the Genie. It's an HD receiver, DVR, can record up to 5 shows at one time. It's important to know if a customer, as an example, has 3 TVs, what you would do for TV 2 and 3. So the Genie would be on their main TV. TV 2 and 3 will get what's called a client. Other people call it a mini. So we'll call it a client or a mini. The client or mini will not work unless a customer has a Genie. Okay? So if we set up a customer, once again, that has 3 TVs, you give them the Genie, and then TV 2 and 3 would be a client or a mini, just to simplify things. What the client or the mini will do is they're both high definition. So TV 2 and 3 would get an HD receiver. Whether their TV is HD or not, they will still have HD equipment. If their TV is an old tube TV, of course, obviously they're not going to get HD. But if they 2 weeks down the road or down the road got an HD TV, they wouldn't have to have us come back out and swap out the receiver because they would already have HD in their home. So TV 2, TV 3 in this example would be a client. It's high definition. What happens with the client and mini is if a customer has the Genie and they record, they can access the recordings on the second and third TV. They can also record in those rooms. So the client and the mini will allow you to record. Essentially what happens is when you record in, let's say, the bedroom, it will send it to the Genie, but you can still record from that room. So to recap, the Genie, the client, the mini won't work without the Genie. Genie can record up to 5, but you can record from the client and mini, okay? So you can be in your bedroom or wherever the other TVs are at, and you can record, only if you have the Genie. So all high definition. So the client and the mini, they're HD receivers. For HD TVs, whether they're HD TVs or not, we'd still put that in the home. So that's the Genie, and that's the client and the mini. So the Genie is a little bit bigger. I always compare it to maybe the size of a Blu-ray player or maybe an Xbox or like a PlayStation. So it's about that size. The client mini is really small. For those of you that are old school, it's like a Walkman, a CD Discman. It's about that size, maybe the size of a CD, maybe a little bit bigger. So that's the Genie, and that's the client mini. So hopefully that makes sense. We'll pull that up in a sec. Let me erase this and then go over the other 2 receivers that we would use, okay? There's a couple other receivers out there. Some of you guys probably have heard of the whole home DVR. These are for customers that maybe their credit's not as good, but they still qualify, and we'll cover that in a little bit. We would give that customer an HD DVR. There's another term for it. Hopefully you guys can see that. An HD DVR. And what that does is that's high definition. So it's HD and it's a DVR. But with that, it records 2 shows. So it's not as good as the Genie, but it can record up to 2 shows at one time. Usually if a customer, their credit's not as good, but they do qualify for the HD DVR, usually this DVR is still going to be better than the current DVR that they already have. Some customers have a DVR that can record 2, but they can only record 1 show in that room and they can record in another room. What this allows the customer to do is to be able to record a show, let's say in their family room, and still watch a live show at the same time in that room. Now, if they're recording 2 shows at the same time, they have to either watch what's recording or watch a previously recorded show. So that's the HD DVR. It's for customers that credits maybe not as high as somebody that will qualify for the Genie, but that's a type of DVR that we can provide the customer with. So that's the HD DVR. It's HD, it's a DVR, can record up to 2 shows. Now, what happens, we'll go back to the scenario if somebody has 3 TVs. So if they want DVR, you would give them what's called the HD DVR, which we already explained. TV 2 and 3 would receive an HD receiver, okay? So just as an example, they would have TV 2 would be an HD receiver, TV 3 would be an HD receiver. You can actually go up to 4 TVs with DirecTV for free, but in this example, we'll say they have 3 TVs. So main TV is HD DVR, TV 2 and 3 are HD receivers. They can access the recordings. So from the main receiver, they can pull up the recordings on TV 2 and 3, but they can't record in those rooms. So HD DVR can record up to 2 shows in that room, but you cannot record in TV 2 or 3. You can pull up the recordings, but you cannot record in those rooms. But all 3 TVs would have HD equipment. The great thing about DirecTV is all of the equipment that we give the customer is going to be high definition, whether their TVs are HD or not. So we're preparing a lot of people for the future, which is awesome. So HD DVR, HD receiver, HD receiver. Those are really the basic 4 receivers that you really ever have to worry about. Now, I take that back. There are other receivers. We'll talk about one more. What we focus on and what we pride on ourselves on is selling ARS. That's the advanced receiver, and that's DVR. You get paid a lot more if you're selling DVR. The lifetime of the customer is going to be a lot longer if they have a DVR, something that they don't want to go without. So the focus should be, when you're out selling, is providing customers with DVR. Now, for some reason, if you come across a customer that it's all about price, or they're a lot older, and that would just complicate things, even though I wouldn't even tell them that they're getting the DVR. I would just give them the DVR and include it in the price. We have what's called the Genie Lite, and I'll explain a little bit about how the Genie Lite works. So the Genie Lite is not a DVR. It's basically like an HD receiver. So if a customer had 4 TVs, TV 1 would get the Genie Lite, and then it would be like a client or mini, which, remember, a high definition. And so the difference between the Genie and the HD DVR is it would just be all HD equipment for the customer. So they wouldn't have access to the DVR. Now, the reason why they call it the Genie Lite is, let's say you set up a customer and 2 years down the road, they want to upgrade their system to a Genie. They have a Genie in their house, even though they don't have the DVR. They can purchase a kit through DirecTV, and they can mail it to them they can send it through the mail, and then they would be able to have the Genie and be able to pay the extra monthly fee for the DVR. That's not our focus. Once again, our focus is on selling Genies. So customers have the ability to be able to record 5 shows at one time. It's an awesome thing. So that's kind of a side note as far as the other piece of equipment. Real easy. You might hear, well, there's this wireless client or whatnot where a customer doesn't have to have cables ran and stuff. Sure, DirecTV provides that for the customer. It's $99 if they want that. That's not our main focus. Can we sell it? Yes. But I want to make the sale as easy as possible for you guys. Most customers that we come in contact with, they already have lines ran in their home. So we typically will use the existing cable in most cases. And so that's kind of how that works. So that's the equipment. What I'm going to do is go onto my computer, and I'll show you guys just to recap what we talked about. Don't want to go to present to everyone. Bear with me. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see this. So what we talked about as far as the equipment, that's what the Genie, DirecTV Genie will look like. Like I said, it can record up to 5 shows at one time. As far as hours, one thing I didn't cover, can record up to about 1,000 hours, 800 to 1,000 hours. It just depends on if a customer's recording something in high definition or just in standard definition digital. Of course, if it compresses more if you're recording in HD. I have my DVR probably usually at about 60%. Most customers, when they record a show, they'll watch it once and then they'll delete it. And of course, that amount of time will be put back on their DVR. So there's a lot of storage space. One thing I didn't mention with the DirecTV, with the Genie, is they have their on-demand, which is awesome. And some of the qualifications for the on-demand are the following. They have to have high-speed internet in their home, whoever their current provider is, as long as they can stream stuff. Usually I say through like Netflix and whatnot. Usually that speed's fast enough, 4 or 5 meg. or above, they'll have access based on the package that they subscribe with DirecTV. They will have access to typically 7,000 to 10,000 movies and shows for free. So of course there's pay-per-view options. Pay-per-view will allow the customer to be able to, order the fights, any special event movies or whatnot. However, they will have access to, like I said, 7,000 to 10,000 movies and shows, depending on the programming that they currently subscribe to. Obviously, a lot of you guys have probably heard of HBO Go. Of course, they can stream stuff from HBO and whatnot if they have HBO. So that's the Genie. Obviously, if you set somebody up with 2 or 3 TVs, they would have the client that would go to TV 2 and 3, as you guys can see in this slide. That's what it would look like. So that's the Genie, and then the minis. If somebody does not qualify or does not get the DVR, then you would give them the Genie Lite, which is there in the middle on the left, and then they would have a client for TV 2 and 3. And then if their credit's not as good, but they still qualify for something, they would have the HD DVR, the whole home, which would allow them to just record in those 2 rooms, or in that room, up to 2 shows. And then they'd be able to access their recordings if they had more than 1 TV in the second or third room, whatever. And then there's the wireless. So that's the equipment that we have. And I'll go back to, oops, went ahead. Okay, there you are. Cool. Okay, so let's talk about qualifications. This is important. Now that we've talked about the equipment that DirecTV has, let's talk about the qualifications. So unfortunately, not everyone qualifies for DirecTV, but if you're knocking in the right area, most everyone's always going to qualify, and they're going to qualify for the Genie. It's all about looking at your surroundings. You don't really have to be a rocket scientist to see if a customer is going to qualify or not. Typically based on the surroundings, by the way they cut their grass, by the way their house looks. Not all the time. That's usually an indication. Want to make sure that you guys are knocking in good area. So, qualifications. So there's what we call low risk. So when you run somebody's credit, there's a low risk. We have what's called a 5-star as well as a 3-star, okay? If a customer is a 5 or a 3-star, comes back that their credit's a 5 or 3-star, they qualify for the Genie, okay? So the Genie will allow, like I said, up to record up to 5 shows at one time. If they're 5 or 3-star, they qualify for the best thing out there, and that's the Genie. That's low-risk customers. Not to mention you get paid a lot more by selling a low-risk customer, okay? Second part is, see if you guys can come over here. I can come over here. So what we call medium risk. Okay, medium risk is a 2-star. When you run the information, it will come back. They will let you know on Sales Rabbit or their call center. 2-star or 1-star. They qualify for the HD DVR. If you remember, the HD DVR will record up to 2 shows, but just on that TV. Then TV 2, 3, and 4, depending on the number of TVs they use in their home, they will be able to access the recordings, but they won't be able to record in those rooms, okay? So that is the qualification. Low risk, 5 and a 3-star qualify for the Genie and the clients. Remember, the Genie will not work, the clients will not work unless there's the Genie. Now, the question will come up, well, what about a Genie Lite? That's the one that doesn't allow you to be able to record, but still gives you the programming in HD. Doesn't matter whether you're 5, 3, 2, or 1-star. Well, actually, go back. 5 and 3-star, you'll be able to give the customer Genie Lite as well as the client or the mini. Medium risk, you have to give them the HD DVR. Okay, they're a higher risk. We want to make sure that the customer's solid and they stick with it. So no matter what, if you sell somebody that's 2 and 1-star, you have to give them the HD DVR. Once again, as I mentioned earlier, that's the focus, is to give somebody a DVR. The customer's more solid, they're going to stay with the system a lot longer, and you make more money. When you sell, don't make it a big deal. There'll never be a big deal with the customer. So those are the qualifications. One other thing might come back, and that's what we call a DQ. Means they don't qualify. You have to run their spouse's name. I've had it before where I've ran the wife's name. For some reason, she doesn't qualify. Ran the husband's name, and he's a 5-star. Okay. When you run their information, if you're running it without their social, sometimes it might come back that they don't qualify, and then I run it with the social, and they come back as a 5 or a 3-star. Hopefully that's the case, right? So those are the qualifications. Low risk, that means 5 or 3-star. Genie, medium risk, 2, 1-star, 2 or 1-star. They get the whole home DVR. Now, as a side note, you'll see on the slide that I have, if a customer is a low risk 5 or 3-star and they just want one TV, I know this sounds weird, you would actually give them an HD DVR. I know, weird. So the way I look at it is, if you're selling a customer on the Genie and they're low risk, give them 2 TVs. You probably are wondering, well, why is that? That's weird. The real reason behind it is I think DirecTV wants to get rid of the HD DVRs. Unfortunately, we don't make the call on that, so we follow the rules. So to go back, if a customer's a 5 or a 3-star, they would get the HD DVR. You'd still get paid the same amount on a low risk on a 5-star, but you would give them an HD DVR. I don't make it a big deal when I find out how many TVs they use in their home. If they say 1 and they want the DVR and they really want the Genie, then I will quote them for 2 TVs. Most customers, to be honest with you, that only use 1 TV, they don't care whether they can record 5 or 2 shows. If that's the only TV they use, generally it's not a big deal. But if it is, quote them on 2 TVs. So those are the qualifications with DirecTV. Once again, if it doesn't qualify, use the spouse's name, and typically that will work, hopefully, if you're not in a good area. So let's go back to okay, as we talked about, so DirecTV qualifications, just as a recap, low risk, 5-star or 3-star, they get the Genie. Unless it's 1 TV, then it would be the HD DVR. Obviously, if they're 5 and 3-star and you give them the Genie, they would have the clients as their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th receiver if they have 4 TVs. Medium risk, they get what's called the whole home DVR. That'd be an HD DVR on a 2 or 1-star, and then their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th TV would be an HD receiver, and then DQ do not qualify. So side note, 1 and 2-star customers, they can still get the Genie if they pay a one-time $99 fee up front. So when you run the order, there has to be $99 in their account, and it has to be charged at the moment that you run their information, or in order to get an account number, that has to be ran. Most customers that are 1 or 2-star customers, they're just happy that they qualify for something. Then again, I go back to make sure that you're knocking in a good area. And with the sales rabbit that we'll do a training later on, that'll give you areas that, you're going to be knocking in good areas. So you'll come across 5 and 3 stars. So that's the qualifications that we have. As far as pricing, I'm going to actually go to the pricing. I'm not going to really write this down. I'm just going to go to the slide for you. So as far as pricing, so you guys won't see my beautiful ugly mug or beautiful face for a few minutes. So we'll go to DirecTV pricing. So basically, as you can see on here, there's different packages. We have what's called the Select, Entertainment, Choice, Extra, the Ultimate, and the Premier package. And we'll cover that in a little bit. So those are the different tiers that you can offer the customer as far as channels. On the left-hand side is the first year. If you look at the Select, which is the first one on the far left, it'll have the Genie, and then you look right below it, it says Genie, and then the CL, that's the client. You see the difference in price goes from $41.49 to $47.99. So we've already done the math for you. So if you can establish how many TVs they're using in their home, then you'll quote them that price. So that's the Select. That's the first, second, third, and fourth TV. You can go up to 4 TVs for free on the DirecTV. Sure, you pay the $650 or whatever per month. However, excuse me, However, that's just a leasing fee. They don't have to actually purchase the receiver up front. They're just paying for the leasing. So those are the different packages that DirecTV has. As you can look on the bottom of the left-hand side, there's a regional sports fee that can be up anywhere up to $5.50 or whatever, depending on what area you sell. And that's for customers that choose the select package or above. So select, extra, ultimate, or premier. That's just something that they have in place. There's areas that I've sold where they don't charge a regional fee. There's other areas that do. And so it just depends on where you're knocking. I've been in counties where the same county, one might charge it, one might not. Usually it's not a big deal. Usually it's around $2.50. Just don't make it a big deal. For instance, here in Utah, there's the Rocky Mountain Root Sports Rocky Mountain that show the Utah Jazz. And so that would be on the choice package. As you can see right below that where the two asterisks are, for single room genies, there's a one-time $99 fee, which we already went over, and you'll have access to this. And then as far as the price, we've included what it would be for DVR on the select, entertainment, choice, extra, and the rest of them. If a customer were to just get high definition, like the Genie Lite and the client or whatever, you just subtract $15 from there. The last thing is when you quote somebody a price, this is assuming that they're always doing auto pay. If a customer's not set up on auto pay, it'd be $5 added to that price that you see there on the DirecTV pricing sheet. Make it a norm to just quote the person for auto pay. It's easy. It's more of a for sure thing. It's going to come out of their account, and that's awesome. It's an awesome way for you to have a solid customer. DirecTV will accept a credit or debit card of the customer that's in the customer's name. So that's the left-handed side. We'll go to the right side where it's the other DirecTV pricing. There's other things that customers can add on to their programming package. There's one called the HD Extra Pack that's an additional $5. Those are the channels that are offered in that. Below it's the NFL Sunday Ticket. We talked about that earlier, and we'll talk about some of the promotions that you'll see it on here, but we'll touch on it in a few minutes. But the NFL Sunday Ticket's free for customers to get the choice and above. Not the select or entertainment, but the choice and above. Right now, they're currently, for new customers, they will receive the Sunday Ticket for the remaining portion of the season up until the first week of January, last week of December, as well as for next year. I'm sure wherever you're selling, all the customers want to watch the Seattle Seahawks, so the NFL Sunday Ticket will allow them to be able to do that. Movie channels. They get all the movie channels free for 3 months, HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, and Stars. The great thing about Clear Satellite is we will do a reminder call to the customer in about 70 days, a couple weeks before their 3 months are up, to remind them to cancel those movie channels unless they want to keep them. That's something that Clear will do, not something that DirecTV will do. We just want to make sure customers, they don't forget, and all of a sudden they're stuck paying for all these extra movies that they didn't want. So that's something that's cool about Clear Satellite that we'll do for the customer. Obviously, there's premium package or premier movie channels that they can add on. So if a customer likes HBO, they can add that on, and there's all those. We have another sheet that will show all the prices on the movie tiers and whatnot. So if they wanted to add on HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, and Stars, or just one of those, they could add that onto their monthly bill, which is on the left-handed side of what you're looking at right now. So those are the different pricing, charge and whatnot. You'll see different charges. Most of the time, there will never be those charges, or you'll have to charge the customer that. That's just something that goes above and beyond a typical installation. I've been doing this for a long time, and typically there's not really a whole lot of extra charges that I have to charge or comp. So I wouldn't read into that too much, but those are just for your benefit. So that's the pricing. One thing we'll go to is the channels. So with DirecTV, we mentioned earlier about the different channels that they have to offer. You don't have to know all the channels. Honestly, most customers, they have their 5 to 10 channels, their go-to channels, and that's what's most important to them. You'll have customers that say, you know what, honestly, like I don't care about having 200 channels or 300 channels, or I want 200 or 300 channels. Awesome. But let's be honest, you probably watch 5, 10, 15 channels max, right? Typically they'll say yes. And so make sure and find out what channels are most important to them. I was talking to one of our managers earlier this morning, and to be honest with you, if somebody came to my doorstep and gave me the basic package and said I was going to receive all the same channels that I had with cable or whatever, and then I was set up and realized I didn't have the NFL Network and some of the extra sports, I'd be pretty ticked. So just make sure and find out what the customer's channels are that they really care about, and then give them the package. A lot of times reps always sell on price. I like to build value and give the customer what they want. So don't be afraid to give the customer what they want. Not saying it's bad to give them the basic package, but give them what they want, what they're currently used to watching, and that will help out a lot. So those are the different channels. Just familiarize yourself with them. It's awesome. And then the last thing we'll talk about is promotions. So the current promotions that DirecTV has right now, they have a $100 Visa gift card that you can give a customer if they're low risk. That's a 5 or 3 star. But it's also the choice and above. I forgot to put that in the slide. Choice and above. So choice extra, choice ultimate, or the premier package. You take a $25 hit if you use that when you're running the account. But if that's kind of a make or break on the sale, I would use it every time. You don't need to, just so you know. But if it's a make or break of the sale, it's a $25 hit. But if it helps you get the sale, awesome, do it. So that's the current promotion that they have on that $100 Visa gift card. And the way it works is when we run the account, you have to let our claims agent or a call center know when you're running the information. Usually it'll be sent out from DirecTV within 4 to 6 weeks after they're installed. So I would let the customer know that. Talked about this earlier. HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, and Starz free for 3 months. We'll call them in about 70 days to remind the customer to call and cancel the movie channels. If they're older and they have a tough time, we can get them in contact with DirecTV right then and there on the phone. So it's important to make sure and get the right phone number from the customer, so that way 70 days down the road, we can have the right number to call the customer to remind them of that. Then, of course, the NFL Sunday Ticket, that's huge. Not all the customers care about sports. That's fine. This is just another weapon that you can use when you're out knocking doors as far as relating with the customer and being able to watch any football game on Sunday. So it's awesome. If a customer gets the choice package, they're pretty much guaranteed to get every single game on Sunday, as well as the NFL Network, ESPN, and of course, obviously the locals that are offered in their area. One thing that's not on there, if a customer has 4 TVs, basically it will be as if they were paying for 3 TVs. That's the current promotion with DirecTV. I forgot to put that on there, so make sure and take note. So if you run somebody that has 4 TVs, really they get a $6 discount. So it's almost like they're paying just for 3 TVs versus what it would be for 4 TVs. Kind of something cool that DirecTV's been doing for the last few months. That's awesome. So those are the different promotions that DirecTV has. Oops. Then I'll get back to perfect. You probably can see me now. Cool. So just to recap, hopefully that wasn't too painful watching that. Just to recap, we talked about the different equipment that DirecTV has to offer. The Genie, obviously the Genie is if they have more than 1 TV and they're a 3 or 5 star, which we call the low risk. Can record up to 5 shows, approximately 800 to 1,000 hours. It also offers the customer on demand so long as they have internet in their home. If a customer has their 2nd and 3rd, 4th TV, they would have the HD or the client. So that would go to TV 2, 3, and 4 if they have 4 TVs. If they're a medium risk customer, then they would get the whole home DVR, which allows them to record up to 2 shows just on that main TV. Then TV 2, 3, and 4, assuming they had more than 1 TV, would have HD equipment. They would be able to access the recordings, but not record in that room. Also, we have the Genie Lite. If they don't want DVR for low-risk customers, they can get that. For medium-risk customers, you have to sell the HD DVR because they're more of a liability. But then again, you're going to be knocking in good area. So that's the receivers qualification. We already mentioned it. You got low risk, medium risk. If they have 1 TV and they're a low-risk customer, you would give them the HD DVR unless they pay $99. Then obviously we have the channels, the different programming packages that we have to offer. The promotions that DirecTV has out there, the NFL Sunday Ticket with the choice and above. $100 Visa gift card if they're choice and above and they're a low risk customer. See, it's a $25 hit. Once again, knowledge is power. The more you know about the equipment, the better. We'll have other trainings on our competition's equipment. It's one of those that the best way to learn is actually being there on the doors. Sometimes I hear reps say it doesn't make sense to knock during the day. No one's home during the day. I disagree. The people that are home during the day, what are they doing? They're watching TV. A lot of the retired people or stay-at-home moms or whatnot, they're watching TV. So, look at their equipment, figure it out. That's the best way to learn. Obviously, knowing this stuff helps a ton. But I appreciate you guys listening to this training. It's training number 2. The next one we do will be training number 3. If you have any questions, feel free to call me. My email address is tim@clearsattv.com. I'm more than willing to help you guys out. Like I said, I've done it for several years. My job is to help you guys out. The better you become at this, the better it is for everyone. And I'm more than willing to help you guys out. I appreciate you guys listening to this training from all different parts of the country. And they call me the Slice, and I like to dice. See ya.